Welcome. With me today, I got Ruben, host, settler, owner, Touchdown Tech. Thank you for joining us today, Ruben.
Good to be here.
So the question I have for you today is, what makes a website scalable, and why should small business owners care, or what does it affect them?
Yeah. The whole thing about having a scalable, and I often throw in maintainable website, is that it's something that it might take a little more care, work, time, money up front. But the goal is that over the long term, your website is easier to use, less prone to breaking, and less expensive to iterate on or add to. So that's the goal of the reason behind it. And I actually was on a talking with a potential client earlier this week about a new website for them for their business. And I kind of explained the process, what goes into building a scalable and maintainable website, and it's expensive. The websites we build, they're usually between $15,000 to $35,000, and which is more expensive than what a lot of people charge for websites that are built statically or built not to be scalable and maintainable. And he's kind of like asking why, like, is it really worth it for my business, for my use case, to have Touchdown Tech build a website that is scalable and maintainable? And it's a good question, and every business owner should think about it. Like, you should ask yourself, like, what am I paying for? And is this going to help my business reach the goals that we have? And I want to give a couple examples of like where this plays out in real life. And I also want to talk about, there's different, I don't know about levels, but there's different areas of where this plays into it, where a scalable and maintainable website plays into your website. So part of it is the information architecture, how the information of your website is stored. And I'll try to keep it as simple as possible, but basically we want different databases for different types of content or types of pages. And one example would be you might have products, and those should be in a separate section or separate database in your website on the back end. You might have FAQs, you might have testimonials, you might have locations. It can go on and on and on. Those are kind of like the typical ones that you would have. You might even have like products and also services depending on your business. Sometimes those might just be together. You might group those together. So that's one area where like scalable and maintainable is how the information is stored and structured. And each of those, and part of the reason for it is because each of those different types of content need different pieces of information. Like a product needs a price, it needs a description, it probably needs an image for it, maybe even like a gallery of images. And then an FAQ that has obviously a question and an answer. So if you try to group all the different types of content on your website into one thing, you're going to lose the ability to be scalable and maintainable. And then another part of it is you want to be able to organize these different types of content or pages. You want to be able to organize your products by categories, and you want to be able to organize your FAQs maybe by you could do categories as well, but you might also, actually, I got a better idea or a better example, resources. So you might have owner's manuals, you might have installation guides, you might have how-to videos, and you want to be able to organize those by videos, by PDFs, and also by like the type that I just mentioned earlier. That would be like a resource category where like this is an installation guide or this is an owner's manual, etc. So I think once you start thinking about your website and realizing all the different stuff that's there, the more organized it is, the easier it is to work with. When we get, especially in two ways, it's easier to work with when we go to actually like design your website, and it's easier to work with as we're like managing it long term, because there's not this black hole where the product goes, the resource goes, the FAQ goes. No, there's a database where the FAQs go, and I need to select, what category does this go into. And another part of this is how are these different types of content or pages related to each other? Because an FAQ, while it may be general and apply for your business across the board, some FAQs are just going to apply to one product. And when you architect the website backend with databases, you can also add relationships, and that you can tell how things are related to each other, so that the FAQ related to product A only shows up on product A's page. It's not showing up randomly on some other product that has nothing to do with. So that is part one of the scalable maintainability, is the architecture of the website's information. And WordPress is a great platform for this. There's lots of great platforms for this. And what a lot of DIY business owners end up doing when they're building their own website is in their heads, that's how things are organized, the way I described it. But when they go to put it on their website, everything just ends up being just a page. And on that page, they have a section for FAQs. They have a section for testimonials. They have a section for their products. But it's all just living on that page. It's not being referenced back to the database of the products or of the FAQs. And you end up doing a lot of stuff manually. So it just gets more expensive over time. I know I took quite a bit of time there. The other aspect of scalable and maintainability is with design. And I'm going to try to break up design and development a little bit, but there is overlap there. But design, scalable, maintainable design, is just about consistency. So deciding on a font sizes. So obviously you have like your largest size, and then you're like a little bit smaller, like your medium, and then like your small, and then you're really small. And you can sometimes have more than that too. And I'm simplifying it a lot, but you have that consistency there. And then if you want to go and change, hey, let's make our biggest size just a little bit bigger. You can go do that globally across the entire website. Another example might be with spacing. So you want to have consistent spacing in your sections, in the space between content or elements on your page. And the other one is a border radius. You don't want to just willy-nilly, inconsistently be picking different border radiuses for this product card or this FAQ or this image. You want to have consistency there. You can have multiple radius sizes, but you want consistency there. So that's on the design side of it. And then on the development, you don't want to be statically entering in, for example, hex codes for your colors. You want to be using what's called a token or a variable. In CSS, it's called a custom property. And basically, instead of having a hex code for our main or our primary color, we have a token for it that's probably going to be called primary or primary dark. And then if we ever do end up deciding, hey, we're going to change our brand colors, we can do that globally across the entire website. And it's fast, it's easy, it's scalable, it's maintainable. And then the other part of it is when this is now specific to development. You don't want to be putting your styles you want to style with what is called classes in CSS, and those classes can be shared throughout the website. A lot of DIY builders like Elementor for WordPress, they will encourage you to style at the ID level. So on your homepage, you might have your button for your primary call to action button that takes them to the get a quote form or whatever. And you might decide, hey, let's actually change the color of that, or let's change the font size for that one, or change the border size of that. Well, if you style everything at the ID, you need to go to every single button and change it, not just on the homepage, but every page. Whereas if you use CSS classes, there's a class for that button, and you can change it in one place, and all the buttons will be reflected. So that is from an architecture or content modeling standpoint, that was the first thing we talked about. The second one was the design, and the third one now was development. And I would argue, so this is kind of like build. In some ways, it's like building a home. You can build a home a lot of different ways, and right when it's finished, two houses can look almost identical as far as like they can look like they're both, stunning and shiny and exactly what you would want. But in 5 years, 10 years, 15 and 20 years, if one was built using, quality craftsmanship or proven craftsmanship and quality materials, and the other one was used using cheap materials and shoddy craftsmanship, you start telling that over time. And the same thing is true with your website. Like a website that touched on tech builds might look exactly the same as another agency or even a DIY website. But over time, over years, it's going to start becoming obvious. Like one is going to be harder to update, and it's going to have things that are obviously incorrect or like inconsistent, whether it's styles or text that's outdated and doesn't make sense anymore. I didn't really touch on that at the beginning, but one thing that organizing your content correctly at the beginning, it lets you reference. I'll give an example. And this is an example that is going to be happening for a client very soon. They're changing their phone number, and their phone number is used in a lot of places throughout their website. Well, if they have their phone number just written kind of statically all over the place, we need to go and update it manually. Whereas if it's saved in a special place, like on the back end of a website, if there's a special place where, hey, here's our phone number, and we're always going to reference that phone number. Now I just need to change where the source of truth is. Change it here. Now everywhere else on the website is automatically going to be updated. And it doesn't happen very often that you change a phone number for a business, but it's happening for a client here next week, and it's going to be very easy to go and make that change. All right, yeah. Sorry, I know I rambled on there for a while, Nicholas. Do you have any questions?
I was gonna say, so let's say an business owner, got a website built, and he wants to know. Maybe he's not very smart with his website. Doesn't know how to use a website like we do. How is there ways that you can tell if a website is built with being scalable, or will most people know? Can you see it? Pretty much, can you see it from the front end at all, or not really?
Some layers of it for sure. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like I can tell in a couple layers of it. The hardest one to tell is with the first one I mentioned, the architecture. That is hard to tell without having access to the back end of the website and seeing where information is stored and saved.
Mm-hmm.
But the business owner, just the way I've explained it, would be able to tell, like, oh no, like whenever we change whenever we add a new product, we have to go add the new product in like 2 different places or 3 different places. Or if we change our pricing, we have to change it all over here. So the business owner, if they're managing the website, would probably know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell for sure if the website is designed using like scalable and maintainable practices. And I mean, we could do a demo right now if you want to.
Sure.
Well, why don't we? Okay, I'll share my screen. And give me just a random, or we'll search for a random website that we haven't looked at, a local one here where we're at. Okay, let me share my screen. Hopefully it'll let me. Screen 1, screen 2. Yes, so here we go. All right, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just do a search for, let's do a construction company in Napanee. Okay, I'm not sure what it's going to bring up, but obviously there's construction companies all over. And so let's just go with Hometown Builder Napanee. This doesn't even sound like a real website, to be honest. I've not heard of these guys. Wow. While that's trying to load, let's go over and try a different one. Better Business, AJM Construction. This sounds at least legit. Let's check this out. Okay. So the one thing that I would look for is, are things being styled at classes, or are they being styled at IDs? And then there's a couple of things too I would test out here. I mean, just looking at this here, like this layout it looks broken. I'm not sure if it is, but it looks broken because it's all like in a single row, and this image is like turned the wrong way. And I would assume a gallery like this, I could click on it to see it pop up, but I'm not able to do that. So this is kind of broken on just a lot of levels. Let's go into the next one here. B&B roofing. Let's check this out. Okay, this one here actually looks somewhat new. The logo is not loading in here, but one way to test would be, I mean, there's definitely some stuff that looks broken here, like this slider. I wanted to find one that doesn't look broken just off the get-go.
That's sad that we can't even find a website doesn't look broken.
So let's go to services. And so actually this is all one page. Like, it didn't actually take me to a different page. This is just a different section. That is interesting. Home. Okay. There's some little bit different things happening here than what you would typically see. So one area that I would check for is when I see a list of cards like this, if I go and add another card, what's going to happen to it? So let's go inspect. And so here, there's the outer wrapper, and so here's the inner wrapper here. So if I just go and I'm going to right click here and just duplicate the element, and I'm going to keep on duplicating it. You know, what's going to happen? Like, is this eventually, like if there's enough items, is this eventually going to break? And so far it actually still looks good. But probably what should be happening is it probably should be starting to stack to another line, but it's not. They're just like staying on that same row. It's not breaking to another line. So this would be one example where obviously we don't want this many items here. But if at any point there's more items than we want to account for the room that is there, and we want it to break to another line when we run out of space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not happening here. I'll give you an example of what should be happening. Let's go over to our website here. And so we can do these testimonials here. So I'm going to inspect, go to so there's our outer wrapper. Here's our inner wrapper here. And I think, yeah, we only have 3. So I'm just going to duplicate. And so we actually still have 3 there. And it just bumped this one to the next line. That's what I would expect to happen. Like, obviously, if we'd have 30 here, it's going to be way too long of a page. We don't want that. But the layout is not going to break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important thing. Now, as far as the styles, let's just see where things are styled. Are they styled on classes? Are they styled at the ID level? And it looks like they're styling at the on classes. They are using static values instead of tokens or variables. So let's look at their color up here. So they're kind of that red is one of their main colors. And so that is actually styled at the ID level, and that is just a static value. So if they would have to change that color, they'd have to change it in a lot of places. Same thing like down here, like this section down here. Is it right here? Yeah, background. So again, it's right here. So if I change this color here, if I change it to, let's just change this purple. You notice that this did not change up here. What should be happening, if I change, like for Touchdown Tech, for example, let me find a color that we're reusing on this page, which the gold. Let's use the gold here. So this text color, for example. So right here, color, this is a variable here. It's called link color, actually. And if I go to this link color, and if I change it to blue, that might be a little hard to see on your screen. Do you see it?
Yep.
So now all the link colors, the hover is still that gold, but the link is blue. It's blue here. So everywhere that link color was being used is now blue. And I just changed that one token. Whereas having to go to like every element, changing it here and changing it here and changing it wherever else we are using a link color. And it looks like we're using a version of it here on this for this line here too. Does that answer? I'm not sure. Did I go off on a tangent, or does that answer your question?
No, that does. Yeah, that answers. Yeah, that answers. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And we could try looking here for more testimonials. So they don't actually have a testimonial. We can write a testimonial. Contact page. Anyway. All right. Yeah. Do you have another question, Nicholas?
No, that's all I have for today. Yeah, thank you for showing us that and giving us a little preview of how scalable websites look like versus non-scalable websites. Um, and yeah, do you have anything else to? I guess if someone would be looking to have a scalable website built or have questions, how could they reach you? Or yeah, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, go to our website, touchdowntech.com, and click on the, I think it's called schedule a meeting button. I'm just looking there now. Or yeah, book a meeting, and that'll notify us, and we can get in touch with you. There was one other example I'd wanted to give, and this actually goes back to the client, or not client, but the person that I was talking with the other week about, is it really worth it to build a website this way? It was a dog breeder, and like they have a list of puppies on their website, like currently. And when a puppy is no longer available, I noticed that some of the puppies had like a banner across it that
Hmm.
said "puppy not available" or something. And I asked him like how they're doing that, and he said, yeah, they have someone when a puppy is sold, the person goes on the website, takes the image, puts it in Photoshop, and adds that banner across it. Now they probably have a template that makes it very quick and easy, but they still have to save the photo, edit the photo, and then re-upload it to the website. What should be happening with like so if I would be building the website, they would have a custom field for the status of the puppy. And is it available? Is it sold? And when they change that status with styles, that banner would appear across it that would say puppy is not available or puppy is sold or whatever we want to do. And that is, I know it doesn't take long to edit a photo and upload it, but you go from like, I mean, it still takes like, I would guess it takes probably 5 minutes. It probably takes 15 minutes every time you go to do it. And it doesn't take that long to do every one. Whereas if it's built the way that we build websites, you basically, it just takes as long as it does to log in. You go to that puppy page and just change its status and you're done. It's just, yeah, so much easier. And if you make a mistake, you just undo it. You just go and like say, oh, this puppy is available again. And now it's back to it being available again. You don't have to like re-upload it or change that photo again.
Hmm.
So that's just one like real world example that I just came across recently of the benefit of a scalable and maintainable approach to web design. And I think it's something that everyone actually wants. You want things to be built solid and to be unbreakable, and that's what we aim to do.
Hmm. Yeah, very good. Yeah. And also with that, not only do you have one picture of that dog, now you got technically two pictures of that same puppy, and you're wasting storage on your website on photos that don't need to be there. Um,
True, because you could go delete it, but you then that's an extra step then too to go and delete it.
yep, yep. Yeah. Thanks so much, Ruben, for for answering this question. And if you got questions about scalable websites, about what other questions you guys have, yeah, give us a comment below or contact Ruben, or book a meeting, I guess, and talk to him in person. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ruben, and we'll talk to you guys later.